Hello. Welcome to She Boss Talk. We are here today to talk about how to start your nonprofit and fund your nonprofit. We are here with a special guest, Dr. Moore, Dr. Eurydice Moore, who is a nonprofit and grant expert. So I'm super excited to talk with her and share information with you all today that is really going to help you. So, whether you've been thinking about starting a nonprofit or you already have a nonprofit, this is the show for you. As always, come on in, hit that love button, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow us where we are on social media. Drop your comment if you have a question related to establishing a nonprofit or accessing funds for your nonprofit. Put it in the comments and we'll be looking at that during the show and maybe spotlight it as we go along. So again, we have an expert here with us. Dr. Moore is a close friend of mine. She is also a referral partner, which I'm so excited to have here. I have referred many of you all to her for those who often need or want someone to apply on your behalf, on your company's behalf for grant applications, because either maybe you don't think you have enough time or resources or the capacity to do it, or to just be more easier for you to be able to do it. This is her. This is the lady that I have been referring. And so I'm so excited to have you on the show. So before we get started, can you just introduce yourself? Just let us know who you are and what you do. What is your specialty?
Well, I am Dr. Eurydice Moore, and thank you for allowing me to return to your show. And I am a 501c3 specialist. I'm a specialist in helping people set up nonprofit and also a grant writer. But Shantae, before we go further, I just have to salute you and let the people know that once again, you the real deal. My business have really grown. I mean, it has doubled. Even my daughter have noted that. It's because of you posting about Cornell University. I took advantage of that and graduated from an Ivy League college,
Oh,
university,
congratulations.
correction. My daughter took a YouTube course through you, and we are YouTube partners because of the course. And I took the master class with you and Kawanda D when you were talking about the different certification, and I had several certification behind that. And since the last time I seen you, I have a SBA certification, the WOSB,
Yes.
and I follow you on Grant Tracker. I tell you, this stuff working if you work it, people. If it'll
Working.
work if you work it. And I follow you on Grant Tracker, and that's how I found out about Comcast Rise. And I was a recipient of an award. I received 2 laptops and a tablet from
Oh,
following the Grant Tracker. And I recently had contact with Shantae because a grant came across my desk for professional development, but it was not for operational costs, not for salary, rent, utilities, or inventory. Professional development. And I said, I need some development. I need some more development. So I wrote Shantae in my grant. People, you can do that too. I wrote her in the grant for some services. So, that's me. I'm just excited about being on the show and being able to salute this great woman of God that God has used to help grow my business. You have been an answer to prayer.
oh, thank you so much. I'm just so excited about all of your wonderful accomplishments. Ladies and gentlemen, this is just a testament to show that if she's able to do it, you can too, right? Whether you're a for profit business or nonprofit, or if you want to start a nonprofit business, these are opportunities that you can get access to help further your business. Let's talk a little bit more about the grant opportunities, because we was talking about this before we actually came on air, about how you were able to get access to this grant for personal development, right? So there's grants that are out here for different reasons, and it just depends on the grantor. Maybe they want to help you with personal development, like she said, or maybe the grant is wanting to help you provide technical assistance and want to help you get access to technology, like the equipment that you just were able to get with the laptops, right? So,
Yeah.
can you speak on the grant opportunities that are out here available for nonprofits?
You would be surprised what's available out there for nonprofit and for profit. But for nonprofit, you really want to go after grants that are entitled general operation support. It's like a blanket. It funds your organization from start to finish. It funds salary, utility, professional services. You can hire a subcontractor. Let's say that you're a nonprofit and you own property and you need a plumber or electrician. You can use that grant money to cover that. And when you have general operation support, that would even cover postage stamp. You could go to the post office and use some grant money. So it's all kind of grants out there. Pay for certification. It's just so much out there.
Yeah, and I have people asking me, if you want to hear noise in the background, I do apologize. I'm having the house painted and they're scraping the house, so I do apologize. But there are so many different grants. We focus on those business related grants, but there's basically grants out there for anything
Hmm.
that really you want from in your personal life as well. So I would encourage you all to seek out those opportunities that are available to you, because they're out there, right? So this is just a few that we're talking about here today. Can you talk about what is the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business?
Okay, the difference is a nonprofit it that gives you the opportunity to provide charitable services to community. And the nonprofit, a lot of people have a lot of misconception about it. They feel like they are owners. You are not owner. The nonprofit do not belong to you. The nonprofit belong to the people of that state. Well, I'm in Illinois, you in Ohio. Okay, so anybody that do a nonprofit, it is the people nonprofit. It's Ohio nonprofit. So there's no ownership with nonprofit. And a lot of people have a hard time with that. And I make it plain when they come to me. So yeah, so that's the difference. The for-profit, you have the ownership. You're the owner. It's your baby. Okay. And then, there are different, level of not for profit, the DBA, the LLC, all of that. And then, I want to mention, like, if you have a nonprofit, that's the perfect time. Uh, you can get grant money for your youth services, your family services. You want to work with seniors, that you get money for seniors. You can get money for housing services with the nonprofit. So nonprofit, there's no self gain in it. Your mission is to serve the people, and you have a specific target population. Whether you want to take care of women and children, youth, homeless, veteran, those that are disadvantaged and underserved.
So for the audience out there, let us know if you have a nonprofit, what is it? What population do you serve? Like, what is your mission? And if you're one that's been thinking about having a nonprofit, let us know about that as well. We love to see that in the comments. Can we talk really quickly about the business aspect, because I feel like many nonprofit leaders that I speak to, they don't understand that even though they have a nonprofit, right, in the eyes of the law, that is the structure, right? It's a nonprofit entity, but it's also a business, and it's
Oh
also
yeah.
a business to be making money, because many not only do they not understand it's a business, they're funding the whole operation out of their own personal monies.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we need to help them change that, so that they can stop funding it out of their own personal funds and actually get access to the funding opportunities that are out here that will help them move their mission forward and help them be able to serve the people that they were meant to serve. So can we talk a little bit about the business aspect and how they can, show up as more as the CEO of the operation?
Yes, there is a business side. Even though you're a nonprofit and you're serving the community, there is a business side to it. You better be registered with the Secretary of State, the Attorney General office, and it's highly recommended that you attain what is called the 501c3 with help with tax exemption. And you are responsible for yearly reporting to these three major governmental entity. And Shantae, I have had people come to me that have threw up website, made brochure, business cards, pass out newsletter, information nonprofit, and they were not even incorporated with the state that they nonprofit is in. And if you are caught and you are not incorporated and you are caught, they can shut you down and you will have a hefty fine. So, people, we have to get legal and not only get legal, but stay legal. That's the business side of it. And then, as far as grant, you got to have that business side intact. That everything in place, including your bylaws, and then when you go for grants, guess what? The funders do not want to be an ATM machine. They do not want to be a nonprofit welfare system. Many of them, the grants are just for 1 year. The longest I ever seen a grant for a non-for-profit was 3 to 5 years. That's the longest. But generally, they go for 1 year only. Now they have included in grant, they want to know if you have what is called a sustainability program. They want to know, do you have a sustainability program? A program in which if you're not funded or you go without funding, can you continue the program? And there's a major ministry in Chicago. I won't call their name out. I don't know what I can, But anyway, there's a major ministry, global, international. This minister and his congregation and his board member, they purchased a mall. And inside the mall, there's a clothing store, a restaurant, a cafe, a bookstore. They have several businesses, and each one of those businesses is generating revenues that pay off expenses and go right back into the nonprofit. So they don't miss a beat. Now, don't get me wrong, they don't turn down no grant money, but the grant money is not just their lifeline, you know. And Shantae, I try to talk to people. Okay, we're gonna do some fundraising, okay, and then get some grants in, do some bootstrapping, But you do not want to depend on grants. And I checked out one of your shows you did last week, and you said it. You just do not want to depend on grants. And I know you was letting the nonprofit and the for-profit know that. Let it be a beginning, let it be an aid to you, but don't let it just be your sole support. It's so much money out there. It's so much funding out there.
Yeah. I mean, you just dropped so many nuggets right there. Like, I'm the queen of multiple streams of income. It is not just for profit businesses, it's for nonprofit. She just gave you an example of how a nonprofit is generating revenues in so many different ways. So, hope you are, please pay attention. Grants are not, you're not supposed to be relying solely on grants. You're supposed to be doing some fundraising. Find out how to make money in the business. And so there are so many ways that you all can do that. I mean, there's all types of nonprofits. I've talked to a lot of schools. A lot of my peers own schools, right? They're for profits and for profits. And they're not bringing in any revenue besides the tuition. but there's ways that you can bring in revenues outside of the tuition that you're getting. And so that is excellent that you mentioned that. Can you just talk really quickly about some of the services that you offer? Because I know you help businesses to start up their nonprofits. Can you just talk about a little bit about those services you offer?
Okay, the services that I offer, I started off with nonprofit in 2004, and then the business expanded to include for profits in 2016, right in time before the pandemic. So, the services that I offer, I assist people in getting legal so that they won't be found out by the Secretary of State and shut down and fined. So I help them to incorporate. It's called articles of incorporation, and you have to be first incorporated with the state, and then I help them put their board together, and find a name for their nonprofit. A lot of people don't realize that you need a name for your nonprofit. It can't be so long. You can't get it all on the form. And then you got to make sure you're the only one with that name, because there have been situations where people had the same name and they end up going to court, and it was not favorable for one of the parties. So I helped them in that. And then also I helped them with their bylaws. And you have to have laws that govern the nonprofit, just like there's laws that govern our daily lives. And then I helped them with the 501c3, which is a tax exemption. And I have books available, electronic book on what can you do with the 501c3. Now, a lot of people get the 501c3 because they want to get grant money, but it's much, much more than that. You have that 501c3, the income that comes into your nonprofit will be federally tax exempt, and it will be exempt from the state. You don't have to pay taxes on the money that comes in. Now, what a lot of people don't know is if you are a nonprofit and you do not have that 501c3 and you have $600 coming in or more, you got to pay taxes to the federal and on the state level. So it's just so much more. You can get your sales tax exemption, uh, depending on what state you in. That 501c3 could be used for water bill. You don't have to pay a water bill if you're nonprofit owned property. Property taxes, you don't have to pay property taxes depending on the state that you in if you're nonprofit owned property. It's so much. You can get reduced rate when you have events, and you won't pay the market price. You pay a lesser price being a nonprofit. Postal service, reduce mail, reduce shipping. It's so much you can do with that 501c3. And I got an ebook that tells you the 14 different ways you can use that 501c3 besides submitting grant. And those tax exemption saves money and keep money in the nonprofit.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is so good. I know during the pandemic, so many nonprofits were missing out on some of the relief because they were asking for tax filings, and then they would come back to me and say, "Oh, well, we're tax exempt," but that doesn't mean you don't have to you don't have to submit filings, right?
Yes, they have to do what is called a 990. And okay. And see, I wish they would come up with another term, but they say taxes, and that just throw everybody off. But there's several different types of 990, and you got to make sure you are filing the right 990. There's the 990 postcard, the 990 N, then there's the 990 EZ, and then da 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 da. And a lot of people, first of all, they don't know they're supposed to file, and these grantors. I had people come to me, okay, Dr. Moore, that had nonprofit. Okay, I need you to file this grant on my behalf. And the funder was requiring that their 990 be uploaded. And guess what? They didn't have it. So I had to refer them to someone. I used to do them, but too busy. So I have someone that I could refer, that she's a paralegal and she's a pro and she's good. and I usually refer them to her. But a lot of them, they don't know, and they don't know about their annual report. They supposed to turn in these 3 reports every year, and then they get dissolved. And Secretary of State will send you a letter. Your renewal is coming up, and many of them ignore the letters. And then when they want to get a grant, you know, the funders check. I always check before I submit anything. I verify, are you still active? And if it comes back involuntary or involuntary dissolve, I can't fill a grant out for you.
Yes, this is such good information. I mean, regarding your nonprofit, do you understand? Like, I'm sure a lot of you are like deers in headlights, understanding what is all involved when you're operating a nonprofit, just like a for-profit business. There's a lot that goes into it. Just like for profits, it does not stop at the LLC. I hear that all the time. Oh, I got my LLC. Great. That's just the beginning. That's just one part of it. You get your 501c3, which is important, and it's going to give you access to a lot of grants, but there's also a lot of requirements that you have to fulfill. It's not as simple as that you just passionate about what you're doing. You just got this, filed this document with the state. Now you have to fulfill it all, not some, all. And then you get dissolved and you don't even know you're dissolved. And then you can't get access to the opportunities that you need to get access to. But we had a question in the, and one of our viewers had a comment
Oh,
about
great, great.
how do you fund employees through your nonprofit?
You can fund them through the grants and fundraising. Money that you get in and other resources that you get in for your non for profit. There are grants, salaries where you can pay employees. Yes.
Yes. So I had mentioned earlier about, so many, and I mean many, that are funding their entire operation out of their personal monies, right? And they don't even they're not paying themselves. So what would you recommend for them? Do you for them, because we just told you about the many different ways that you can fund your nonprofit. You definitely want to set yourself up for success, and okay, you started funding it out of your own, right? I know a lot of churches that do this, right? But you need to be funding your operation, and the fact that there's so much money out there. Let's talk about that, because a lot of nonprofits seem to be stunned when they contact me, and they're like, "Where are the grants at? Where's the grants? Where's the funding at?" And what I say to them is, there has always been funding for nonprofits. You can find it everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
billions upon billions of dollars. It has not always been that way for profit. So the fact that they're finding it difficult to find grants for nonprofits when they're everywhere, and I
They're
mean
uh
everywhere.
they're they're finding it difficult because they don't have the key word. It's all about the key word when you're reading, like general operation support. I mentioned that earlier. That covers salaries, that covers utility, rent, so on and so forth. It's about the key word. When you read up on these grants, do it say general operation support? That's the buzzword for nonprofit. Now, for the for profit, it will be operational costs. But in the nonprofit world, it's general operation support, general support. You're going to see either general support or general operation support, one of the two. That lets you know that's nonprofit, and you pretty much have leeway in that. Pretty much have leeway. And then a lot of nonprofits are opening up daycare centers. That brings in money. I know I can mention this because they're international, national, the Salvation Army. Everybody familiar with the Salvation Army. We know that they feed people, they provide shelter, they have program services, they have all kind of program for the community. But guess what? They have a thrift shop, and that thrift shop is not a nonprofit. Is unrelated. It has nothing to do with their mission. But when they report it on that 990, it's reported as an unrelated business. and you know that thrift shop pulls in money, and they take that money, and then they funnel some of that into their their nonprofit. So those of you that are operating nonprofit or seeking a non to start nonprofit, you know, once you get your setup, now you got to come up with sustainability plan, and whatever fundings come in, you know, you pay your employees. You know, you take a certain amount out. Let's say you got 10 grants as a nonprofit or 5 grants. You know, you just take each grant could be used for salary, you know, till you have the dollar amount that you desire for your employee. Maybe $5,000 for an employee for 1 grant and 2,000 for another. And then for employee, maybe 3,000. Then you add it up, then you can have a decent salary. And then along with your sustainability programs.
Right. So you need a sustainability program. You need to be able to operate without grants and then use grants as a supplement, right?
Yeah.
Or a complement to what it is that you're doing. Also, you need to know your goals. So you need to have your figures, right? Your money figures. So when she's talking about whether it's supplies or whether it's labor costs, you have to know those costs, right? You need to know how many FTEs you're going to have, how many part-time people you're going to have, how much are you paying them, but per hour, are they on salary, and how much is it? Those are things that you need to be looking at when they're going to ask you for your budget, right? What is your budget? What are you using these funds for?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to have that, whether it's a simpler grant or a larger grant, you have to know what it is you need the money for, how much do you need, and what is the grant money specifically going to be spent on. Now, I do want to mention that because someone is asking here, they was asking information about not for profits, but let me I'll ask that in just a second. I just want to clarify that in the with COVID-19, the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been many more grants that have come out that are easier to apply for. Understand there are different levels of grants and different complexities of grants. There are grants that are at a level where you need a grant writer if you don't know how to write grants yourself. Okay. And then there's grants that have been more streamlined. Even some of those grants that were more complex are easier to get now simply because of COVID-19, and they know people need help and they are giving. And I'm dead serious. They making it so easy. I talked about the Cleveland Foundation here that literally gave millions and millions and still giving millions and millions. They give millions of dollars every month. Every month, nonprofits can submit to them to be able to get access to grant money every single month. I apologize. Someone is calling me.
Mhm.
Okay. So
But
they can
I like to
submit.
jump in here, like you said a little earlier, that there's tons of grants for nonprofit. I've been
Yeah,
doing this since 2004 as a business, but I've been a grant writer since 1985. And people, I promise you, through the years, right before COVID, I might have saw 2 or 3 grants for businesses. All them grants I saw was for nonprofit. But now, because of COVID, they are throwing grants out there
that's
for
what.
for profit. So I tell you, and it's just so much out there. And Shantae is correct that they have streamlined it, and that's because of our former president, Barack Obama. I had attended a DHS meeting, and they said we got a new format because of our president at that time, Barack Obama. When he took office, and he saw the red tape and the bureaucracy that people and the hoops that people had to jump through to get a grant. He said, I want you all to streamline this process, make it simple, put it online. That's because of him. And then after that, foundations and corporations have followed. So I've seen grant application as simple as 1 page. 1 page, Shantae. 1 page.
I know.
Okay. hmm So
Yeah.
the average grant to complete, I call them grant application. You know, when I do workshops and stuff, The longest is about 12 pages, but the average grant is like four, no more than 5 pages. Online, uh, in a format like you applying for a job. All you do is fill in the answers. That's all. Just fill in
Exactly.
the answer. And then they have a menu, and then you just check. So it's simple now. You don't need a grant writer for that. Some of my clients are shocked when I say, "Oh, you could do this yourself." They be like, "What? What?" That's why I'm coming to you. I said, "You can do this yourself." I'm not money hungry. I'm not suffering for anything. I am a very blessed woman. So, if I can help you save money, I'll help you save money. And I
Right.
even tell people, why don't you put a team together? I have spoken with pastors. Send me some of your people, and then you all write your own grants. I be telling the nonprofit that, have you a grant writing department in your church.
Exactly. I mean, so the resources are here. I mean, these are things that I've been sharing with my community. It's good to have you as an expert sharing the same information because it's so valuable. Because there's so much work to do. So many of us have missions, great mission work with women, with girls, with children, with the homeless, with veterans. You name it, great missions out there, but you have to set your business on a on a solid foundation, so it doesn't all come crumbling down. Because you need something to build upon. These people that you have this mission to serve, they're relying on you. So you have to show up knowing that you bear a huge responsibility in taking care of what your business, your foundation, or your organization, a nonprofit, however it is you're set up. So that's good. Because if you're not set up correctly, then you're going to let down the people that you are there to serve. You're not going to
Mhm.
be able to fulfill that mission. So we're here to help you get set up properly so that you can fulfill your mission, because there's so many people in need. Now, one of our viewers had a question about the difference between, and I've heard this too. What is the difference between a nonprofit and a not for profit? Is there any difference?
Oh, the terminology, uh, not for profit and non-profit,
Profit.
and NFP and NGO, non-governmental organization, are all the same terms. They are used interchangeably. And once again, I mentioned earlier, uh, the mission is charitable services, no self gain. And then you have the for profit, strictly for business, strictly profit oriented. So that is the difference.
This is great. So that's why I like to break things down in layman's terms for people, and understanding that depending on who you're working with, they may have different terms, but it means the same thing, right?
Mean the same
So I'm
thing.
often shooting off like 10 different terms, and I'm like, but they all mean the same. So that because if you don't understand, then that can really be a knowledge barrier, and a barrier for you to be able to get access to what it is that you need. Now, there's a lot of viewers, they're really excited about this. They're talking about their nonprofits and wanting to set them up. They want to know about your book. So we will link she actually has a class. I believe you have a class coming up, but we will link her programs and her classes in the comments. Be sure that after this broadcast is over, you will have all of the links. She will also come in the chat and talk with you guys. So if you want to consult with her, let us know. Let her know in the chat, in the comments, and she will direct you to where to go. Do you want to tell? Can you tell us just about what you have coming up? Don't you have a class? Let us
Yes.
know what you have going on.
Okay. The city of Chicago has funded my business, for-profit business, Eurydice, with a grant that allow me professional services, marketing, and that allows me to teach. I just love teaching. I just love teaching. That's my trade. That's my passion. I just love talking and explaining things, breaking it down, make it simple. But anyway, okay, I'm coming back. I offer free. It's because the city is paying for it. And our target population is the people in Chicago first or in Illinois. The course is online business training, colon grant application workshop, and it's offered free people. It's offered free twice a month, Sunday and Monday, and I always have the flyers out. And we're gonna put in the link, the appointee, so that you can go to it and you could book one of the classes. Limited seating, only 10 for each class, and that's through the year. January, February, March was good. April, one of the session is booked. We got 8 seats for the second session, and that's going to be booked. Okay. April the 24th, that's this Sunday. I mean, not this Sunday, I'm sorry. It's on a Sunday, April the 24th, from 5 3 o'clock to 5:30 is a class. And
Okay.
then Monday, April the 25th, from 11:30 to 1 o'clock is a class, and it's free. Take advantage of it. And we do let people from other states come in. Shantae, I had a lady from Turkey contact me and
Awesome.
book a session. So I'm looking forward to meeting her on a Zoom all the way from Turkey. Now, you're going to let somebody from Turkey take a seat and you
Okay.
here in America. Come on now. Come on.
I know. I
The
know. I
woman
say
is
the
from
same.
Turkey.
I know. I'm trying to tell you, right? So we have the same thing here because we have a global audience, right? And maybe on it. So look, these are opportunity. Again, she got a grant to be able to provide these opportunities for you as a nonprofit to give you help you get the skills that you need. You could do the same thing, right? So she's teaching you these skills, how to write grants and all of that, all of these types of things. So do take it, and it's free to you. And I often say that that's the great thing about nonprofits, that they get funding. So oftentimes they're able to offer different opportunities at a discount or at no fee to you because they are paid through the grant. So when you get that's why you have to account for your cost, including you as the founder, right? Or the executive director, or whatever role you're serving in, and all of those laborers that on your team that are helping to support these different initiatives that you're rolling out. Look, y'all, I mean, I hope this inspires you to go start taking action today, because you don't want to miss out on these opportunities. Now, we have so much to talk about, but we're getting close to the end. But can you just, I mentioned at the beginning of this program that we are referral partners, and that I refer many business owners to
Yes.
you to help for you to apply on their behalf. So can you just talk about the experience we were talking about, and somehow some come to you, they're not prepared, and can you just give the same tips to our audience on what you need, so when you go to her, make sure you have some things ready. You can't expect that any grantor is going to give you money and your business and your foundation or your organization is not properly set up. So can you tell what you expect when they come to
Yes,
you?
Shantae. Shantae, I want to thank you for those referrals. And so far, they have been assessment people, and you have already told them. But like my great grandmother said, sometimes people don't believe that fat meat is greasy. You already told them, Shantae, whether you talk to them through email, on the phone, or on the show. So I guess coming to me, they figure they're gonna hear something different. No, I'm going to say what you say because it's the same information for both of us. Uh, the people that have come to me, they didn't have websites. Okay, the funders want you to have websites. Shantae been talking about that. The funders want you to have a social media presence. They want to know if you have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. They actually ask for it. You got to put your link inside the application. There is no getting around what the people want, and I got people to help me. I tell them, well, you need to talk to such and such a person, and I follow up with them. And once you meet with them, you got what you need, then we're good to go. Now I can apply for the grant. And then some of the funders ask for things like business license. Oh, Shante, business license. This is a small shout out for the LLC. A lot of LLC, Shante, I got to mention it. I know we're supposed to be talking about nonprofit. I'm finding this over and over and over. A lot of LLC, especially in Chicago, I don't know how it is in your city in the state of Ohio, they don't realize that going to the Secretary of State, getting that LLC is not the end. They have to get a Chicago business license. They cannot be operating. So, and then you have some nonprofits, they are structured and they might have a little business and they think if it's not related to their mission, they got to have a business license. They got to have a business license. So that's what I'm finding. Could you believe that some people don't have emails? They don't have emails. And then funders are asking for business emails. They don't want your email. So your nonprofit has to have an email. Okay. And then, and then I had a lady that's a nonprofit. She lost $5,000 because she didn't change her address. So when you're a nonprofit and your nonprofit move, you have to update your information on the state and with IRS. And because she didn't, and she did not tell me the new address, and in IRS database was the other address, the old address, Walmart, I can mention them. They sent a check out and she never got the check and it came back to the company and she lost $5,000.
Okay, let me just say this again. We talked about this before we got on here. That I have to mention this all throughout 2020 that we are not going to be leaving money on the table. Simple things that we can do that we're just leaving it on the table for somebody else to get. Again, many of you all think that these are complicated things. There has to be some complicated reason why I'm not getting a grant, right? I'll just apply it and apply. It can be as simple as you don't have an email and you don't have a business name. And now I know that because I know, and this video can apply to for-profits and nonprofits. So tag who you need to tag, share it with whoever you need to share it with, because there's millions of you out there that need to see this video today. So you can change some things around. There's too many people that you need to be helping, that you got to help your business first. You got to help your operations first. You got to have emails. These are things they're looking for. You need to have a website. You need to have a social media presence. If you expect them to, these organizations and grantors are giving thousands and millions of dollars in grant money, and don't think that there's no expectation of you as the owner of your business or the leader of your organization. And you have to be transparent. And like you said, those things do apply in Ohio and other states. Every state is different in what their rules are. So you have to learn what their rules are. And if you're not operating within their guidelines, you automatically forfeit any money. So we don't want to leave, again, that money on the table when there's so much of it that we can put to good use.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah. And then I had a gentleman, he doesn't check his email and he missed out on a grant.
Again, simple things. I can tell you hundreds of business owners and nonprofits that I know personally that forfeited money. This is $5,000 is a lot of money. $1,000 is a lot of money, not any that I want to be leaving for someone else to get. Simply because, so you have an email, but you don't monitor your email. You don't respond to your emails. That is how they correspond with you. Not always do they follow up with a phone call. Okay. So the expectation is you have an email and that you're responding to their email. They're not going to babysit you. They may only ask, they and most times they only ask you once, and they ask you for information, and then it's your responsibility to make sure that that information is accurate. They're not going to go back and forth with you, and I have to tell business owners this all the time, even when they apply for our programs. They are only going to ask you once, and you have to make sure you review it 2 or 3 times, however many times you need to make sure you clearly understand what they're asking for and that what you're providing meets their requirements. Because they're not going to ask you 2 and 3 times and give you a second chance. They're moving on to the next eligible candidate that submitted complete and accurate information. Am I right?
You are correct, 100%. They have two. It's grant is competitive, and they have too many people. Just like that, Capital One shut down in one day. One day. Even though they give you a deadline, if they get an outpouring, they can shut down anytime. They can shut down anytime.
Exactly. And so many business owners were surprised by that. I mean, it didn't last a day. I think they shut down in like hours. They're not the first grant to do that in hours because there was that much demand. And so usually they have a date and then they have a cap at the number of applicants. If they reach that cap in 2 hours, they reach the cap in 2 hours. So there were people that got in there, and those that did, we had some winners of that grant. Like you said, you won the Comcast, right? They have a marketing, they have a money grant, they have a technology grant, whatever. There are grants for all types of things that you can use to support your business and support your nonprofit. So I hope you all are doing that today. We have a lot of people that want to know about your upcoming class. We're going to make sure that you get access to that.
Okay.
Oh, there's somebody saying that they went to Turkey as a missionary. That's awesome.
Hmm.
Interested in your books. Oh my goodness, we have nonprofits in Georgia. We set up our 501c3. We need to set up a grant writing group. Yes, yes. So yes, please take the information we're giving you and put it into action. These things are going to get you results if you put in the work. If you put what we're telling you into action, it's going to work. It won't work if you don't do it. You have to work it. Isn't that what you said? Right. Structure and systems are necessary. Yes, they are. So there's so many great comments on here. We appreciate your comments and your questions. We could talk about this more. So we'll definitely have to have you back on. But we're going to have to close out the show. Are there any final words or tips that you wanted to give our audience?
What I like to say is get started, and remember those 2 free courses that is being offered this month, April 24th, April 25th, and through the rest of the year till December 31st. Free. You don't have to pay. So there's no reason to be without money for your nonprofits.
Awesome. One last question that I always ask all of my guests. If you had a magic stick that you could wave, what is one thing that you would change in the world? One thing.
One thing, Majestic, one thing. I would want to implement the golden rule, you know, reintroduce love because God is love, and we would treat each other better, you know, that out that love.
I love it. I love it. So thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for
Thanks for
tuning in.
having
Thank
me.
you. Thank you for Dr. Moore for being here with us, for dropping all these amazing gems that people can really go and take these actionable steps to move their nonprofits and their businesses forward. Right, this applies to businesses too,
Yeah.
and we'll make sure that all her information and contact information is in the comments for you, so you can go sign up for the class, go get her books, and get to work. Start setting up your groups, whatever you need to do. Start strategizing about how you're going to make money in your nonprofit and your business. You can do it. Strategies on how you're going to go after fundraising, how you're going to go get these grants. And she is the one to help you to be able to do it. So again, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Moore.
you.
As always, continue to be the boss with amplified impact. Stay safe and in good health, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.